Are you tired of dealing with heavy, swollen legs and feet that are always cold? Many of you have started juicing beets because you've heard they are the superfood for circulation. But then I see your comments. Zoey, the mess is too much. Or is this juice spiking my blood sugar? Today we are settling the debate. Is that expensive beetroot powder actually better than fresh juice for seniors over 60? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one to choose to save your legs and your wallet. Before we go head to head with this comparison, I want to make sure we all understand why beets work for circulation in the first place. Because once you understand this, everything else in this video will make complete sense. And honestly, you will never look at beets the same way again. Beets are exceptionally rich in dietary nitrates. When you consume those nitrates, your body begins a fascinating two-step process. First, the beneficial bacteria living in your mouth and on the back of your tongue convert those nitrates into nitrites. Then, once those nitrites enter your bloodstream, they are converted into something called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is the key molecule here. Think of it as a natural pipe opener for your blood vessels. When nitric oxide is released, it signals the walls of your blood vessels to relax and widen, a process doctors call vasodilation. When your vessels widen, blood flows more freely and more efficiently. That is what gets circulation moving all the way down to your feet and toes. That is why the swelling begins to ease. That is why the coldness in your feet gradually improves. Your vessels were constricted and blood simply was not reaching your lower legs the way it should. Beets help fix that. Now here is a warning I need every single one of you to write down right now because most people have absolutely no idea about this. If you use antiseptic mouthwash, the kind that kills bacteria in your mouth right before or right after your beet drink, you are wiping out the exact bacteria your body needs to begin that conversion process. No bacteria means no nitrate conversion. No nitrate conversion means no nitric oxide. You have just wasted your entire beet drink. Regular toothpaste is completely fine. It is specifically the antibacterial antiseptic mouthwash that causes the problem, so please hold off on that for at least 1 hour after your beet drink. This one small change can completely determine whether beets work for you or not. Now, let's get into the comparison. Round 1 is all about power. Which form of beet actually delivers more of what your body needs to produce that nitric oxide and get your circulation moving properly? Let's start with fresh beet juice because it genuinely deserves credit. When you juice a raw beet, you are getting a full-spectrum whole food drink. You are getting nitrates, yes, but also folate, potassium, vitamin C, and a powerful group of antioxidants called betalains that carry their own anti-inflammatory benefits. Fresh juice is as close to nature as it gets, and for the right person in the right situation, it is a genuinely excellent choice. I want to be completely fair about that, but here is the challenge that most people do not talk about. The nitrate content in fresh beets is not consistent. It varies depending on how old the beet is, how long it has been sitting in cold storage, the quality of the soil it was grown in, and even the season of the year. A beet that was pulled from the ground last week has significantly more active nitrates than one that has been sitting in a warehouse or grocery store refrigerator for several weeks. And when you are standing at the supermarket, you have absolutely no way of knowing which one you are picking up. High-quality beetroot powder works very differently. A reputable powder goes through a careful concentration process where the water content of the beet is removed while the active compounds, the nitrates, and the betalains are preserved and concentrated. Independent lab analyses of quality beetroot powders consistently show that a single 1 TSP scoop delivers the nitrate equivalent of 3 to 4 whole beets, 3 to 4 beets in one small spoonful. For my viewers who need what I call a therapeutic dose, a consistent, meaningful daily amount of nitrates to actually move the needle on chronic swelling or persistent circulation problems, that concentration and daily predictability is a genuine advantage. You know exactly what you are getting every single morning. I will mention one honest limitation here because I believe in giving you the full picture. Powder does not provide the fiber that comes with juicing or eating a whole beet. Fiber is valuable for digestion and for buffering blood sugar. So if fiber is a specific priority for your health, that is a point in fresh juice's favor. But purely from a circulation and nitric oxide standpoint, the powder's consistency gives it a clear edge in round 1. Round 2, and this one is about something that matters deeply to most of us, your budget. Because I want to say something plainly. The best health habit in the world is worthless if you cannot afford to maintain it beyond the first 2 weeks. Long-term consistency is what produces real results, and consistency requires affordability. So let's walk through the real numbers for fresh beet juice. To get a meaningful daily dose of nitrates, research generally suggests 8 to 12 Ahs of fresh beet juice per day. To produce roughly 10 Ahs of juice, you need 2 to 3 medium-sized beets. If you are buying organic and for something you are consuming every single day, specifically for health purposes, organic genuinely matters. You are looking at roughly $4 to $6 per day in beets alone. This will vary depending on where you live and what time of year it is, but across most of the United States, that range is a realistic average. Over a full month, that adds up to somewhere between $120 and $150, and that is only the beets themselves. That does not include the electricity your juicer consumes, the wear on the machine, or the inevitable cost of replacing it when it breaks. And then there is the time. Washing the beets, cutting them, running them through the juicer, then disassembling and scrubbing the machine every single morning. That is 15 to 20 minutes of physical effort every day. For many of us over 60, especially those managing hand arthritis, morning fatigue, or limited energy, that is not a small cost. That is real time and real energy that adds up. Now compare that to a high-quality beetroot powder. A reputable organic powder runs approximately $25 to $35 for a full month's supply. Let's call it $30. That is $1 per day. $1 a day versus $4 to $6 a day every single day. That is the gap. Over 12 months, fresh juicing could cost you somewhere between $1,400 and $1,800. The powder costs you roughly $360. That is over $1,000 saved in a single year for the same core circulation benefit. And the time? You measure 1 TSP, stir it into a glass of water or your morning juice, and drink it. 30 seconds. No cutting board, no juicer, no scrubbing beet stains off your counter at 7 in the morning. For a sustainable daily habit, one you will realistically keep up for months and years, which is what actually changes your health, the powder is the clear practical winner for round 2. Now we reach what I genuinely believe is the most important section of this entire video, and I am speaking directly to my friends who are managing type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, or elevated blood sugar right now. Please stay with me through this part. It may be the most valuable 2 minutes of this video for you personally. Here's something that surprises a great number of people. Beets, despite all of their health benefits, are among the higher sugar vegetables, and when you juice them, removing all of the fiber that would normally slow the absorption of that sugar in your digestive system, the sugar in fresh beet juice enters your bloodstream relatively quickly. The natural buffer that whole food fiber provides is simply gone. A standard 12 oz glass of fresh beet juice contains approximately 22 to 25 dregs of sugar. To put that number in context, that is comparable to the sugar content in some sodas. For someone whose A1C is already elevated or who works carefully every day to keep their blood glucose stable, that is a meaningful daily spike. Not a catastrophe, but absolutely something that deserves serious consideration when you are choosing a daily health habit. Beetroot powder tells a completely different story. During the concentration process used to create a quality powder, the majority of the natural sugars are removed along with the water content of the beet. What remains is primarily the active therapeutic compounds, the nitrates, the betalains, the antioxidants, with very little residual sugar. Most reputable beetroot powders contain only 2 to 3 g of sugar per serving. That is a reduction of close to 90% compared to a full glass of fresh juice. For someone managing type 2 diabetes, that difference is genuinely significant. You receive the full circulation benefit, the nitric oxide production, the vasodilation, the gradual reduction in leg swelling, without the blood sugar spike that could affect your energy, your mood, and your A1C readings over time. Now, I also want to speak to anyone who has struggled with kidney stones because this point deserves more than a single passing sentence. Fresh beet juice, especially when consumed in large daily amounts, is relatively high in compounds called oxalates. In people who are predisposed, high oxalate intake can contribute to the formation of calcium oxalate kidney stones, which happen to be the most common type. If you have had a kidney stone before, or if your doctor has flagged this as a personal risk factor, drinking large quantities of raw beet juice every day warrants a careful conversation with your physician before you start. Beetroot powders, particularly those that have been low-heat processed, tend to have a lower oxalate content than raw juice. This makes them a more cautious choice for daily long-term use if kidney health is part of your personal health picture. If you have an existing kidney condition of any kind, please discuss these dietary changes with your doctor or a registered dietitian before adding either form of beet to your daily routine. Alright, you have been patient and you deserve a clear, straight answer. Here is my final verdict. Fresh beet juice is genuinely wonderful, and I want to be honest about that. If you enjoy making it, if your blood sugar is stable and well managed, if you have the time and physical energy for the daily routine, and if you have consistent access to fresh organic beets, keep juicing. You are getting a beautiful whole food drink with a full spectrum of nutrients, and that has real value. But for 90% of you watching right now, especially if you're on a fixed income, managing blood sugar, dealing with morning fatigue, or simply need a habit that fits into real daily life without becoming exhausting, a high-quality, low-heat processed beetroot powder is the most practical, sustainable, and consistent way to keep your legs healthy every single day. It is cheaper, faster, lower in sugar, and more predictable in its nitrate content. And most importantly, you will actually keep doing it because in health, showing up every day beats the perfect solution you only manage twice a week. When you are choosing a powder, here is exactly what to look for on the label. First, organic. You want beets that were grown without heavy pesticide use. Second, no added sugars. Some brands sneak in sweeteners that work directly against your health goals. And third, this is the one most people miss. Look for low heat processed or cold processed on the label. High manufacturing temperatures degrade the very nitrates and betalains you are paying for. Low heat processing preserves them, so your body actually receives the benefit you are expecting. And one final thing I need to say directly, I am a researcher and a health educator. I read the studies, I translate the science, and I share what I find in plain, honest language. But I am not your doctor. If you are currently taking blood pressure medication or blood thinning medication like warfarin, please do not begin taking beetroot powder without speaking to your physician first. Beets are potent enough to genuinely lower blood pressure, which is a benefit, but if you are already medicated for that, the combination needs careful monitoring. Bring the label of any powder you are considering to your next appointment. It is a 5-minute conversation that truly matters. You showed up today because you care about your health, about your legs, about your independence, and your quality of life. That matters more than you might realize. The fact that you are here, asking the right questions, and doing the research puts you ahead of most people, so give yourself some credit for that. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you tried beetroot powder? Have you been juicing fresh beets? Did you notice a difference in your leg swelling, your foot temperature, or your overall energy after adding beets to your daily routine? Drop your experience in the comments below. Be as specific as you can. How long you tried it, what amount you used, and what you actually noticed. Your comment could be exactly what someone else in this community needed to read today to finally take that first step. And if this video gave you clarity, if it helped you cut through the confusion and feel genuinely confident about what to do next, would you do me one small favor and hit that subscribe button? Every week, I bring honest, research-backed health information made specifically for our community over 60. No gimmicks, no nonsense, just real answers to real questions. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Take good care of those legs, my friends. I will see you in the next video.